Hello, hello, hello. Conversations in business, joy of business. You might be listening to someone singing. That's my son in the background. Today, I'm very excited. I have Nikolett joining me. I know Instagram is letting everyone know that we're starting. So this has been a series of calls, of lives with amazing people creating around the world. And what I love about that is that every single person has a story to tell. This is a song. And create the business that they have now, in a different way. But most of all, they all know and use the Joy Business tools, access consciousness tools, and they're knowing. So today I have Nikolett, amazing Nikolett. She is now, hello, everyone that's joining. She is in Hungary. I think she is at home now. Let's double check. And let's dive in. Let's have a conversation. And if you have any questions throughout them here, and we go for it. Hello, Sana. Ow, Sana. Wow. How are you? I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. Hi, Nicolette.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Awesome. Sorry, my internet was really crappy, but now I think it's working. Okay, cool.
Yes. No, you look good. I
Thank
can hear
you.
a little bit of my voice on the like echoing, but I don't know. Sometimes it can be only me.
I
Uh,
can, I can, if you want, I can switch to my earpods. I have my,
okay, let's try. Let's see.
okay.
Sometimes it could be a little thing. Let's see now.
Is it better?
I think yes. Yes,
Okay,
I
cool.
cannot hear me myself. How are you, Nicolette? Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am really happy. I just came back from the Maestro class and wow, life is just changing.
Yes, how does it get any better? For those that does not know, Maestro class is a super advanced class from Access Consciousness with Dr. Dane here, and it was in Croatia this time. So, magic in the air. And so happy
Yeah.
that you're there, Nicolette. So, I would love to start with what is your experience with your own business, creating your business before Joy of Business, before Access Consciousness? What did you do before that?
So before I started to become a certified facilitator, I used to be a hairdresser. So
Oh,
I've been a hairdresser for a couple of years, and it was a really different experience for me because without having any tools, so my family, like no one from my family owned a business or they never been to any businesses. Actually, my dad always told me, just don't do it, just get a safe job,
yeah,
be
yeah.
safe. And when I became a hairdresser, I just knew I don't want to work for someone. So as soon as I could, I became self-employed basically. And I also started my own business as a salon. So I would rent out chairs and rooms for like cosmetics and stuff. And let me tell you, it wasn't a great experience. One is
Mm.
I didn't know how to charge. So
Ah, so
I
so
wasn't charging enough.
mhm.
Um, and and I had issues with all these people that I was working with, like all the arguments about like trash, who takes out the trash, and then who pays and when, and it's just 10 women in one house. It was not an easy thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it wasn't easy. So did you continue with that for some time, and how did you change that?
Um, so I had an accident
Oh,
where I broke my leg and I wasn't able to walk for like a year and a half. And not just that, but when the accident happened, the day after, I woke up and I knew I'm not going to be a hairdresser anymore. I felt a lot of change in me and I felt a completely different person. So just day one after the accident, I knew I'm not going to be a hairdresser anymore. So,
mhm.
and I started searching and someone sent me a link about releasing a really simple releasing technique. And this is how I met my mentor, András, who is certified facilitator for access consciousness.
Ah,
And I went on one of his classes and he was talking about access consciousness. And I didn't speak English at the time. It was like 10 years ago. And I started to searching for more. And I was going to his classes, but at the same time, I was searching for more. And I found Dr. Dane, and I started to listen to his tour of consciousness on YouTube. And I just wanted to understand what he has to say, because every time I was listening, I just felt this relief, relaxation, and I kind of had the sense for the very first time in my life that everything is possible. And
Cool, cool.
yeah, and in like 6 months or so, I learned to speak English, and I started to attend classes, and this is how I met Simone.
Hmm. So then with that transformation, because you went through a transformation, right? You went through a big trauma and then this is it, I'm
Yeah,
going to change, right? So after the
yeah.
change and you start to know more of the tools and how you can, have the choice of creating your own life. How did you look at business from that point of view, from the change that you created?
So basically, after a year and a half, I had to go back to work. So I had no other choice because I didn't know anything else at the time beyond being a hairdresser. So I went back to the school I was teaching. I didn't go back to be a hairdresser because I couldn't stand behind the chair all day on my leg. It was really fractured.
Hmm.
But I could be a teacher. So I went back to school and I started to do access bar sessions.
Uh-huh.
And my plan was with the whole thing is I was really in peace with the present moment, what I had at the time, because I realized that I have created it with my past choices. And I was really happy, even though I never wanted to be a hairdresser anymore. But I knew if I keep going, I keep creating, and all of my free time, I used it to create my business. I built my website, and then I started to, create classes. Even though for the first year or year and a half, I don't really had anyone attending my classes,
That's so
but
great.
I
You
was
haven't given up.
really, no, I was really excited actually. And so I started to listening to Simon Milasas, who is the founder of Joy of Business,
Yeah.
and I started to have fun in my life. And in a year or so, when COVID started, I already made more money with my side business, the access bars and access consciousness, than in how much I made it at the school. So basically, at the beginning of 2020, I decided to leave my job and just become a facilitator and do my business. And this is how I started. And then COVID hit. It was just a lot of a lot of fun. But I honestly, from that point, when so I had a patience in that year, because I I used to live in the US. I got divorced the end of 2028, and I started my
18.
business basically, yeah, in
Mm,
2018. No,
2000.
sorry, 19. Yeah. And so in that year, I created more money, started to create more money with my access bars facilitator business. And that's when I quit school, and then I became a full-time facilitator basically.
I love that. I love that you've had this jump on and you created that. And for everyone that's here, they're like, okay, but how did you do that? So did you use the tools? Did you ask what was it for you that you could see that, okay, this is not as much as, I am making now. I'm gonna keep going. So for people that hear like, okay, so how do I, if they're looking at, this transition from where they are now to create more, what would you say that created for you?
Um, I think the first thing that was what was my enthusiasm
Mm.
for the tools, and just see my own transformation from the accident, and then what I went through with my body, because they actually wanted to amputate my leg. So
Wow.
it was a lot of, I wouldn't say drama around it because I was peaceful with it, but still, and it went on because they wanted to cut off my leg at the first day, and then they wanted to amputate in a week, and and I was told that my leg is so fractured that maybe I will ask the doctor to do the surgery at some point, because I'm not going to be able to walk on my leg. And so it was like a
Wow.
lot of things going on, but I kept my enthusiasm for living. And I felt like I got a chance, and I'm here for a purpose. And that's my message, what I tell people: you don't need to have an accident to realize that
No.
you got this life.
Yeah.
And then you can create whatever you want. And
Yeah.
without these tools, I was really unhappy. But before my accident, I was just so unhappy. I had suicidal thoughts all the time. I just wanted to quit this life. And when I would say, restarted. And then actually, when I started to use the tools, everything has changed. And so with my business, when I came back to Hungary, I had no money. I lost my marriage and the dog I loved and all my, hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
But when I came back, I had a really interesting moment. Like 2 or 3 actually in that year. But the first thing was, so Simon always said that you are the source of creation.
Yeah.
You are the source, not your husband, not someone else, not your family, not the money.
No.
You are the source. And I remember one day I woke up, I don't know, 8 a.m. and I had an old phone. I had no money to buy a new phone, and I take it off from the charger, and it dropped. My battery dropped to 1% again. And I'm like, my first thought was, oh no, I need a new phone. And the second thought was, oh no, I need a boyfriend. Because my point of view from my family was that to be able to get along in life, I need to have a marriage. I need someone who supports me.
Wow.
And that was a really crucial moment for me, because I was like, oh my God, I got you. That's the point of view that you create your life from. What if I don't need anyone? And on that moment, I remember I sat down with myself at the kitchen. I made a coffee and I had a talk with myself. I'm like, what if I don't need anyone? What if it's true that I am the source of my creation? And I remember that moment, it was a demand.
Yeah.
I demanded myself, and I was like, I'm never going to go back. I don't care if I lose everyone or anyone or anything or whatever it takes. So with these tools, you became more aware, and I started to become aware of the future that is possible for me.
I love that. I love that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and with the demand I made to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to change this. I'm going to make money. I'm going to be the source of all of my creation. I'm not gonna wait for everyone. And you know what? Fuck it. I lost everything. I have nothing but the tools right now. I don't have my husband. I don't have yeah. And I was like, I know what's possible for me. I am aware of it, and I will go anyway. If I don't care if I lose anything or anyone. And I think that even now talking about it, I have the energy of that moment, because I demanded myself to change this. And I think this is how, because most of us, right? I live in Budapest, Eastern Europe. Even my grandma, they never worked. So they were at home taking care of the kids, and then women stay home silent and blah, blah. And yeah, my family and all the women in my family, they had the point of view that you need a husband. But because they always been poor, I was told, hey, don't get married just with someone. They really have to have money. And I was, yeah. And so many people said that, like my teachers, my mom, my grandma, everyone. And that was a really deep point of view. And I was always pathetic, and I always needed someone who would take care of me. And I was like, okay, you know what? It didn't really work out well.
You tried. You followed
I tried, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, maybe I just choose something different this time. And this is when one thing I realized in that moment, that I committed to myself and to my life, not to my family's points of view or anyone else around me. And I also had that inner, I really had to have this conversation with myself that I'm not choosing against anyone. Yeah. I'm not doing it from resistance. I'm just choosing it for myself. And it includes everyone else. in my creation. And let me say, this is really powerful. What I have realized, it changed everything in my family. Like, they are creating now. They have businesses. They have everything. I am so amazed just watching them thriving. It's beautiful.
Well, I love that you're saying that, because there's, so many people here in the future that will be watching, in some women especially, will be still in the, but that's what we always done, is the society that I've grew up. So you bring in this different way of really looking at yourself and create from what you can and what you choose. And that, to me, it's amazing. So Nikolett, fast forward, I know that you are a really successful facilitator and coach. You have 2 books written, is 2, right?
Yeah.
So what is it with the business itself? So when you're looking at creating your business and expanding, what can you share with us? What tools did you use, or how did you look at that allow that to grow to the size that it is now?
So, as I said at the beginning, I had no knowledge about business at all. I had no friends, and I didn't know anyone who had a business before. Maybe business, yes, but not successful business.
Yeah.
So when I started my access bars business, I was introduced to Joy of Business, and I bought the book. I was listening to Simon's podcast. It was a different podcast than now, but it was like both, amazing. And I realized that I don't really know anything about business, but I heard she saying one time, she said, it's what do you know about business that no one else does? And it was really empowering. And I was wondering, I'm like, what do I know about business that no one else does? So I committed I would say until like 2023, the first 3 years of my business, I dedicated myself to my business. It was my primary relationship, and I was working on it. And I realized I am really good at creating money. And so the first thing, what was really interesting at the beginning, when I started creating not for the money or for the income, then things started to shift really fast. So let me give you an example.
Yes.
Yeah. So
now we get
used
into the joy of business.
Yes. So I used to do everything on my own. And after COVID, like a couple months after COVID, I realized I'm just not able to grow my business and everything if I am the one who does everything. And in one of my bus classes, a lady showed up, and she was a stewardess, flight attendant, and they were not flying at the time, and she had a lot of free time, and I was like, do you want to work with me, help me with my stuff or creating my classes, because it's just getting bigger and bigger. So when she came, I told her, okay, hey, here's the thing. I don't want to know how many people signed up for my bars class, because that used to be my issue. I was looking at how many people sign up. I was counting in my head, how much money is that? And I was spending the money even before I got the money. So what it created in the past, that everyone was canceling the class or didn't show up in the class. And when I started to do that, I'm like, hey, don't tell me, just take care of the class and let me know if the class is not going anywhere, like we don't have people signing up, please let me know. But in the meantime, I don't care how many people comes. I just want to do it for the fun of it, because I could see all these classes were changing people's lives, and even mine, but even theirs. And when I started to work with her, I realized I cannot continue my business in my living room, because what I want is something bigger. And I knew, I was like, I was born for something big, and I was willing to go for it. So what I was doing is I would have a class, we find a venue, it was cheap. I had the money to afford and pay for it. And the next time I was like, hey, we filled up the room. It wasn't a big room, but I don't know, we could fit like 10 people. And I told her, hey, you see, we could fill the room. So as much room we have, that many people would come. And I was like, okay, let's get a bigger room next time. So we were searching for other venues, and we find a good place. And it was like a big room, but we could, in a hotel, so we could have half of the room. So we had half of the room, we filled it up. And I'm like, okay, let's get the whole next time. So we got the whole room next time. We filled up the room. I'm like, oh my goodness, let's find a bigger room. So we find a bigger room. And then there's so many people, so I had to find another assistant. So I hired someone else. So it's like 2 girls. And we filled up another room. We had 100 people in the bars class.
That's
And it was
amazing.
like, it's not like every 6 months, it's like every 2 months. We would doubling how many people would come to class. And I remember one time I was in Mexico City traveling, and the girls texted me, hey, there is an issue. We forgot to, limit the registration. So we have more than 100 people in the class. So we have to call them that they cannot come.
Oh, what a
I'm
problem.
like, and I was like, no, don't call anyone that they cannot come. Let's find a bigger room. Let's find a bigger room for 200 people. And they were so upset. And they're like, oh no, they're already home. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's just 1 p.m. Why are you home? Don't go home. I need to get this done.
Demand.
So I called a friend of mine, and I was like, hey, can you help me, please? I need a bigger room because more people sign up for this class. And why not to have 200 people in the class? So basically, I went for a bigger class, a bigger room, and we filled up. We had 200 people, and then the next class we had 300 people, and then the next class, it was in like a year and a half, we went from 50 to 400. And it's just my enthusiasm. And I was really, the other thing that I would say, I was really like trusting everything around me, that the universe has my back, and if I go for it, I can create whatever I actually made every single choice in that direction. So I was always asking, okay, what this choice would create in the future? Like, is this, will expand the business, it will expand everything. And I realized the more fun I had, the more the business grow. And it wasn't from force, or yeah, it was just really an amazing experience. And I was amazed by what we are able to create when we have fun.
And I love that because you kind of removed yourself from the thinking and the figuring out of the numbers, and you went through the energy and the fun and the enthusiasm of the creation. And I guess, and I know that we can create that in any part of our lives, in any business that, if you're here now, it's not only an access business or a bars business, it's that,
Yeah.
enjoyment and enthusiasm and creating for really bring more consciousness and more of whoever is there. And before we
Yeah.
go, Nikolett, I know that you became a Joy Business Facilitator 2 years ago.
Yes, that was one of my biggest dreams, to one day to become a Joy of Business Facilitator and share the tools. And what you just said, I just had a business and different class, which is a Joy of Business class
Yeah.
in Budapest, and amazing to see. It's not these people who showed up in class, they are not facilitators. They have their own businesses, and they apply these tools and they create miracles day by day by day. And we have a Telegram group, and people are just sharing their own experience with their businesses and how much fun they have. And finally, they start to realize that the business is not for struggling. It's not an issue. It's not a problem that you always have to have a problem, or you have always have something to handle. And just seeing that they're changing it, and they have fun, and they are finally again enthusiastic, is just so cool. And it's really powerful also for me. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. And I love that we have a thread with all the facilitators, Joy Business Facilitators. And every time that someone facilitates a business done different, they go like, oh my God, this class just changed it, because it is packed with so much, you can change a lot with yourself and your business with that. So
Can
is there,
I share?
Mhm.
No, go ahead. I
No, you
wanna.
share. I bet
Okay.
we are
So
synced
and
here.
so just wanted to share one thing. So I left my job in 2020 in January, and COVID hit in March, right? And I was like, oh my God, fuck, I am fucked, because I just started this business and now it's COVID. Like, you cannot leave your house. So I really had to be creative how to shift my business into online, because I used to do bar classes right before. And I remember Simone, she was in Budapest before they closed down everything. And she was on her way back to Australia from Budapest. And I was following her. She did Facebook Lives and stuff. And she was actually sharing the tools because everyone who had a business they were freaking out, like, what they're going to do? Oh my God, we have to shut down, blah, blah. And I remember she got back in Brisbane and she had this really amazing call with all the JCFs, Joy of Business Facilitators. And the call was about everyone sharing one of their favorite tools. I remember sitting at the bank of the Danube and I wrote down every single tool. So I have that sheet of paper ever since. And I use all the tools to create my business. It was like really simple tools, like asking questions, asking your business, get present with it, like, see what works. Like, do you really have to sit in front of your table all day long? Or maybe you have to go for a walk in the forest because that creates more for you. And it's like really simple things. And all of those, like 25 tools, if I'm not wrong, I use them all the time. When I struggle with my business, even though I'm a Joy of Business Facilitator and I have all the manuals and I have all the audios, I just go to the sheet of paper. I'm like, which tool would change this? And it's just so simple and so amazing. So I really recommend anyone, if they have a business, to attend the class because it has no prereqs. No. Everyone can come. And it's really different from a business class, like usual business classes, but it's really, really powerful. And I outcreated my business in so many ways that I could never imagine.
I love that. I love that you are creating your business, and that's what it just keeps going. It's never stop with those tools. And you just answered what I was going to ask. Share a tool. If you could share a tool, and you just shared a few questions from your list, and I love that. Nikolett, so do you have any business Danjifa class or any Joy Business classes coming up in the next year that you would like to share with us?
Yes, I will have classes not posted yet because we are working on because my own struggle with my business was that I always wanted to make my business international and start my classes in English. So 2026 is the year. So we are having all of my classes in English the next year, and we are just looking where the business is required or where my energy required. So we don't have a country or a city yet. But we are working on it. But yes, we are having a couple of BDD classes next year.
That's so cool. So, and I love that you had that, you mentioned your struggle and now that's changing. And I guess you're using the tools for that, which is amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anything else you'd like to share to anyone that's here?
Maybe just my struggle, right? Like we all have one area that we have the point of view that we are not able to change, and that was mine. It's like I'm gonna be here in Hungary for the rest of my life and then doing this business, but I had this pool that I want to go, and it's been a couple of years that every year I would be like, okay, next year will be the year I'm gonna go international. And one is that I was aware that wasn't the space, or I wasn't ready, or whatever it was, but it just wasn't the time. And the tool which I would share is, it was really helpful to me. It's like being kind to myself, be allowance with myself, and not making myself wrong because I had the plan to go international every single year and I haven't done it. So it wasn't like something that I would judge myself for, as before that was my thing. If I had a goal and I didn't accomplish it, I would judge myself. And with these tools, it really can just be in allowance with myself and not judging myself because I haven't created what I planned to do, or and now I, more than ever, I have the pool to create that. So I'm just like, okay, let's go.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, Nikolett. Thank you for this conversation. And I hope to meet you in person sometime in 2026.
I will, I guess. See you somewhere. Thank you, Leandra. You are amazing. And thank you for inviting us for these conversations. I listened to the other conversations you already had, and all of them are really, really powerful. Thank you.
we all have a story to share and we'll have a different energy. And that's what I love about meeting different, bringing you to different conversations. That's the gift.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Bye, Nikolett.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.